Remember what brought you here in the first place. You were born to uplift and help others in their time of need. What you do and think and feel matters more than you'll ever know.
Have mercy. Please be kind to yourself. We are, after all, just human. That's good enough.
What's needed is your presence, your love, your caring, all these things that you might think are not enough are exactly what is needed.
Do all the good that you can.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to day 2 of this symposium, Awakening to Humanity's Sacred Mission. We had such an extraordinary day yesterday, the opening session with Irvin Laszlo and incredible speakers and great engagement, a lot of fun engaging with all the participants in this symposium, both live in the Zoom room where you're welcome to come and join us, as well as broadcasting out on many different places and channels, including the Unify Facebook and Unity Earth TV and other places. Come and join us in the room. We'll put those links in the chat. And then session 2, which was all about implementation. Amazing to have that discussion so early in this symposium about getting it done. This is a call to action. So on behalf of all of the many partner groups, organizations, impact networks that have put this together, welcome to day 2 and to session 3, Synergizing for Change. We have an amazing lineup of presenters, an organization sharing today in the visionary voices, and then into the engagement session where everybody comes together. We're going to start again with a beautiful synthesis from a colleague and collaborator here in Julie Krull. And I want to welcome Julie Krull from Good of the Whole, such a key sponsor and partner in everything that's taking place here at this symposium. Julie, welcome to day 2. It's great to have you with us. You're muted, Julie. You were muted. Let's get you unmuted.
There we go. Sorry. Thanks, Ben. I was just saying it's so fun to watch what's already moving and then to anticipate what's yet to come. There's so much beautiful, rich information for us here, as well as just that co-creative spirit of everyone stepping up. So first, I want to invite us all to take a few conscious, heart-filled breaths. Bring our awareness into this present moment. Bring your whole self into presence right here, right now. In session 1, we explored humanity's sacred mission and began with one big breath. Jude Currivan invited us all to breathe as one with the one big breath. And to connect our little breath with that big breath, we invite you to bring your awareness into your heart space as the big breath breathes you right now. As the big breath breathes us collectively. And as we begin this session, I want to invite you to continue to breathe as I read David Lorimer's poem, The Golden Thread, which set the stage for the entire symposium on day 1. So please continue to breathe. And then throughout the symposium today, return to your heart and the breath as we consciously breathe and weave a golden thread throughout our community right here today and in the days to come. Here's the golden thread. Setting out from afar, we are tasked to undertake a journey, to follow our golden thread into the labyrinth of life. Wandering along, we look out when first we need to look inside for stillness. Content in silence within, we can proceed with surer step along the path, present in and to the moment. Sometimes we simply stumble, we lose the thread, forgetting who we are and where we're going. Just wait and trust. Don't think, don't stress, don't rush around. Listen to the quiet voice of your heart, the heart that knows, the heart that deeply feels. Only then can the golden thread appear. And in no time, you'll find yourself at home in the center of the labyrinth of life and love. Mm. This beautiful poem was an important part of our opening, and we're encouraging all of us to continue to pull that golden thread from that still, small voice, that silent space inside throughout all of our sessions. And in session 1, we learned that humanity's sacred mission is all about the heart, all about love and consciousness, that there is a coherent evolutionary process, wholeness in motion, and the process is us and created us. In session 2, we pulled the threads of love and consciousness into implementation. One theme that really wove through all of the visionary voices was an encouragement to bring nature and the sacred into all of our solutions. It was profound how every visionary leader pulled that piece through, from food production to business, money and economics to policy and governance. We must be in right relationship with the planet and serve the heart and the whole of humanity. So here's a synthesis of their voices. Entrepreneurship is a catalyst for evolution, shaping the future. We are the guardians of the planet, and the earth is our common home. We're responsible to protect and preserve it for future generations. No matter what our vocation is, we must leave the earth better. We can unite the spiritual and the material by looking to see the sacredness in money and the economy. We must harmonize economic growth with what really matters. Invest in well-being. Our ecosystems are more important than the materials we extract from them. It's time to shift a life-focused economy, or shift to a life-focused economy. We're developing regenerative business models and bringing profit together with regeneration. And we're bringing profit together with heart. Most people identify with these issues. Most people identify as global citizens. And yet the people are ahead of their governments. So policy entrepreneurship is important for everyone, all of us as everyday citizens. So here's a few tips for you from yesterday. Know your goal. Simplicity gets us to the end. Know your stakeholders and how they matter. Embrace pragmatic idealism. Communicate stories of success and spread messages of unity. And here's a challenge for all of us. Engage with people you don't like. Demonstrate love in action and put our interconnectedness into action. Embrace our collective mission and make it visible. Every decision has impact. Solutions come from amplifying our true nature. So repurpose love and elevate the greater good, because we fundamentally depend on each other. Our self-organizing capacity is within each and every one of us. And we can't wait. We are the ones we have been waiting for, so stop waiting. And to close, I want to pull the quote from Ervin Laszlo's very last words to us in the first opening session. Something new is emerging, and it starts within each one of us. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Dr. Julie Krull, Good of the Whole, for that beautiful synthesis from day one. So many lessons. There were so many beautiful presentations, and I think you've captured some of those key elements really, really well, Julie. Thank you for doing that and bringing us in, because that golden thread continues to connect from the beginning and then right the way through the symposium, all the way through to Sunday, the 18th of February at the Harvest, our awakening, where we get to bring all of these learnings and lessons and calls to action together in one place. How exciting, how wonderful. We had a lot of fun yesterday. By the way, we're going to do another quiz today. We're going to be giving away some Holomovement books, so stay tuned. You never know what we might be asking about. But now I get to introduce my wonderful and amazing co-host, the magnificent Deborah Modow. So Reverend Deborah Modow is an ordained interfaith minister committed to assisting in the transformation of human consciousness. She is the founder of the Garden of Light, providing an online platform for the emerging global spirituality that the community can become visible as a powerful force in uplifting the human spirit. Thank you, Reverend Deborah, for co-creating this session 3 of the Visionary Voices, and welcome to the symposium, Deborah Modow.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, my beloved brother. It's been such a joy to experience this symposium so far. And I want to say that I'm here as director of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle of the Source of Synergy Foundation. And I'm so proud of all of the evolutionary leaders who have been involved in this symposium so far. And that, of course, includes you, dear Ben, and beloved Julie, and all of the presenters from yesterday who are part of our group, including Dr. Jude Currivan and Ervin Laszlo and Bob Atkinson and Yuka Sayanji and Joe Martino and Adam Hall and Sarah McCrum and Tamsin Woolley Barker. And there will be so many more today and moving forward. What's so special to me about this symposium is that it was an effort by a group. It was a joint effort. It was an experiment in synergy. And all of us who are part of the partnering organizations contributed our time, our talent, and our treasure to make this happen. And then Ben and Unity Earth and Ben and Irina and Becky and John Raymer, another evolutionary leader, all of the team behind the scenes. Oh, and Anne-Marie Verhova, all of you have reached out and brought in the tribe so that we've been able to experience the community is yearning to awaken to humanity's sacred mission. And everything, Julie, I love the tips you just gave us from yesterday, the way you've culled from the feedback from all of the people who are here with us at this symposium who are contributing from their hearts and their visions. So this has been an extraordinary privilege to be a part of. And I'm excited about today because today is about synergizing for change. So we looked into the mission and we looked into the vision and then the how about how we could begin to implement the vast changes that we want to see to transform our world to one of harmony and peace and caring and love and thriving. And today we delve into a way to bring that forward. What does it mean to work in synergy? And how can that contribute to these vast changes that we want to see? And so we harness the energy of the year of the dragon. We're going to ride that fire breath into the new. And we're going to start now, as Julie said, quoting Professor Laszlo, we're not going to wait anymore. This is it. This is our moment. This is our moment of choice. And we choose to move forward. So are we ready to dive in today? We're going to start with a project that's very dear to my heart that came through the evolutionary leaders of the Source of Synergy Foundation, and that is the Evolutionary Partners Network. So I'd like to welcome some of the members of this Partners Network onto our Zoom room today to introduce you to this symposium. So the symposium's groundbreaking because it belongs to all of us. It's not business as usual. And we know that partnering has challenges, whether it's at the level of a marriage or a team or the United Nations. Yet we believe that this is the path to realizing our oneness and amplifying our voices for a thriving world. The Evolutionary Partners Network is a parallel initiative to the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, which is a community of individuals. And here we are looking to scale up by bringing aligned organizations into partnership for a greater voice and increased synergy. This is a pilot project so far with 54 organizations, and a new one just joined this week, founded or headed by members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. And you can see all of them at www.evolutionaryleaders.net/partners. So I'd like to read to you our call to common purpose, because the call itself was a joint effort. We say, we join together in partnership to make visible a conscious ecosystem, forming a network of networks for cooperation at scale. We share the intention to unleash the collective power of synergy as we consciously evolve a world that works for all. So I hope that's something that all of you feel that you can be on board with. We'll hear from participating partners with us today, and I'll introduce each one of them as they speak. So we'd like to start with a few words from Dr. Robert Atkinson, whom you heard yesterday. He is the founder of the One Planet Peace Forum, and he's going to speak with us a little bit about how partnering up helps to awaken us to humanity's sacred mission. Bob Atkinson.
Thank you, Deborah. It's great to be with you all today. Along with humanity's collective sacred mission and each person's individual sacred mission, there are also organizational missions too, right? But how many of them think of their own mission as sacred? We can understand sacred either in its original classic context of some things being set apart as holy and consecrated, or in a more universal context where anything and all things can be venerated, cherished, revered, revered, and held in the highest regard. Our organizations are clear about what we hold in the highest regard and what we most revere. We need more organizations to own up to a mission that reflects a reverent devotion to contributing to the betterment of the world and to partner up with other organizations doing this. Another aspect of sacred is whatever leads to unity, harmony, and wholeness. Our partnership of organizations is moving toward greater and greater levels of cooperation, collaboration, and unity. As we enter the unitive age, this too helps fulfill humanity's sacred mission, because this is moving us all closer to the fullest expression of our innate wholeness. So now we'll hear a little more about how each organization's mission helps carry out humanity's sacred mission.
Thank you so much, Bob. And now we've asked our partners to each speak for just a minute or so on one of our founding principles. And some will be including action areas that are inspired by these principles as well. So we will start with Dr. Jude Currivan of Whole World View.
Thank you, Deborah. As Bob said, it's wonderful to be with everyone. So as partners, we weave together a diverse global community in service to a universal, unitive, and evolving consciousness. Our worldview is the lens through which we see ourselves and the wider world, and it drives our choices and behaviours. As we answer the call to awaken humanity's sacred mission, we do so at a pivotal moment of choice, of whether to heal our prevailing worldview from its illusion of separation. Scientific breakthroughs are converging with indigenous and spirituality-based wisdom teachings, revealing that we're inseparable from the cosmic meaning and purpose that's embodied in the big breath and sacred wholeness of our living, loving, and evolutionary universe. It seems to us as partners and a whole world view that our universe is inviting us as family members of its wondrous and vast communities of life to awaken to our sacred mission with a unitive worldview and underpinned by a unitive narrative, to become its and their co-evolutionary partners, and to take our next steps all together into the dawning of a unitive age.
Thank you so much, Jude. And now Kanu Kogog of Bridges in Organizations will tell us about what it means to be art-based.
Hi, I'm also delighted to be here today. Such a beautiful opportunity to bring so many voices together in a community. What we all share in the Partners Network is a collective, bigger concern for the well-being of each other, of communities, of the plant and animal world, all of nature. Evolutionary partners have come together on a foundation of long-term relationship building. There's a host of friendships among those organizing partners that have been built on trust. And so coming together and bringing our organizations together is this golden opportunity to scale and make us bigger. Heart-based partnership is based on our shared mission for a more conscious, meaningful, and fulfilling way to be in the world from our hearts. Being heart-based calls us to be more authentic and prioritizing our values of empathy and supportive of each other's work. And I want to really emphasize that we are supportive of each other's work. And this is a testimony. Today, Synergizing for Change, yesterday's symposium, is a testimony of how we support each other in our work. Being heart-based is to be aware of the universal heart, the beating throb of all life, and to do whatever we can to respect, uplift, inspire, care for this Gaia mother we call home. In a nutshell, we integrate mind and heart-based wisdom to empower compassionate action. We call for you to join us.
Thank you, Kanu. To address synergy, a very important principle today, we have two partnering contributors. We have Diane Williams of the Source of Synergy Foundation, and after Diane, we'll have Dr. Kurt Johnson of Light on Light. So we'll start with Diane.
Thank you, Deborah. Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in Synergy with all of you and all those tuning in. So the Source of Synergy Foundation's sacred mission for the last 17 years has primarily focused on creating synergies among individuals. One example of this is the Evolutionary Leader Circle that everyone here on this call is a part of. And I know the question many of us are asking ourselves these days is, what would it look like to go to the next level of my life, my work, my sacred mission here on Earth? And in our case, the evolution of our mission has led to the birth of the Evolutionary Partners Network that focuses on scaling up cooperation by fostering deeper synergies among organizations, networks, and movements to support the common good. So in closing, I'd like to encourage all of you participating in this symposium to explore what the next level of your own sacred mission is and how you can create deeper synergies with others that will support and join with you as you embody and activate this mission that will be a significant part of humanity's collective sacred mission. So thank you very much.
Dr. Kurt.
Yeah, so Dr. Kurt Johnson from Light on Light Publications and Media, and our key word for today is synergy. And of course, what we do in regard to that is publish all of the books that really underpin the symposium here. So those books are actually Ervin Laszlo's 2022 book, The Survival Imperative, Upshifting to Conscious Evolution. And then Ervin's 2023 book, The Great Upshift, Roadmaps for Planetary Activists, that's us. And then from Bob Atkinson, the presenter yesterday, his new book, A New Story of Wholeness, Experiential Guide for Uniting the Human Family. And from the Universal Dream of Humanities team, Steve Farrell's book, A New Universal Dream. And then also the Holomovement book, Embracing Our Capacity to unite humanity. So you'll be hearing more about the Holomovement book today, and you can check out more about it at holomovement.net. And then lastly, the other thing we do is we host the series on Voice America with the Evolutionary Leaders Synergy Circles, Humanity's Moment of Choice, which is based on the Gold Nautilus Award winning book by the Evolutionary Leaders, Our Moment of Choice, edited by Deborah, Bob, and I, who are here. And also to note that it's actually Ben and I who 8 years ago founded the Voice America series. And we also have our slate of free e-magazines. I'll get the links for all of these into the chat. And most of these e-magazines actually have tracked over the last 5 years all of the activities of so many of the people and groups that are in the on the program today. So back to you, Deborah.
Thank you, Kurt, and thank you for reminding us of the importance of media. We couldn't do this symposium with all of you in what, Ben, 86 countries around the world, if it weren't for the magic of Zoom. And you have given us so much, Kurt, with your publications and your online interviews and all of your extraordinary work as a Synergy superstar. You got the award from the Source of Synergy Foundation, as did Professor Laszlo in a previous year. So continuing, our next principle is empowerment. And we're going to hear some words from Dr. Desiree Hurtak of the Academy for Future Science.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks, everyone, and greetings to the whole community here. And I want to encourage empowerment in our lives. And although we can be empowered individually, we're more empowered when we work in unity collectively. I think that's really our goal. So where do we use this empowerment? Well, we can use it for everything. We can use it for sending prayers for peace around the world. This is something I've been doing for almost 50 years. I hate to say that. To project any positive changes that are needed to help humanity. And we can do it as a collective mission with many organizations working together. I think that's the key. That's the change. And it's important to move aside from the individual to the partnership, to the sharing, which is what the world so badly needs now. And this builds because we're all part of a greater consciousness field. And so as we put thoughts of peace into that field, it really can be directed to where it's needed around the world. And the energy really works to assist and transform all the imbalances. We are really those who have to bring this power of understanding, love, and caring to the planet. So even now, let's just take a few seconds to focus right now today in sending prayers for peace throughout the world. Let us feel that energy transforming the planet. And let us feel we have done something to make a difference for planet Earth through our own collective empowerment. And I want to thank you for your time and your help.
Thank you so much, Desiree. And thank you for reminding us of the power of prayer for peace, which was so beautifully expressed in yesterday's symposium by Yuka Sayanji of Byakushin Kokai and the Goy Peace Foundation. And I know that many of you who are participating were very touched by her words. So yes, may peace prevail on earth. And I see a peace pole behind Julie Krull, who of Good of the Whole, and she is going to address the key principle of coherence.
Thank you, Deborah. Hopefully you're all feeling some coherence as we're bringing in the breath to this symposium, as we've talked about that golden thread poem. And the partnership network has coherence as one of the principles. I'm just going to start with reading that statement. We integrate our individual and collective gifts and strengths to create super coherence among organizations. And you're hearing a lot about heart-based. You've already heard that, and the empowerment and the synthesis. And there's something really important for us to hold as leaders on the planet, everyone that's here with us and tuning in, with coherence. We know the science teaches us heart-brain coherence brings us into our higher capacities of wisdom, intelligence, creativity, not just the calm and the peace and the physiological benefits of health, but in our capacity to lead, to envision, and to do our work. So imagine, science also shows us, when our heart-mind goes into coherence with others around us, we go into a coherent field. We build a unitive field of coherence that really impacts one another, that we can measure that now. So imagine inside of an organization, with all of our employees and leaders working together, creating greater coherence. And then imagine organizations beginning to work together between organizations. That's our work on the planet right now. There are lots of networks emerging and popping up around the planet. So it's an essential part to align ourselves with this innate coherence and our innate wholeness to truly amplify and level up our collective sacred mission on the planet. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Julie. And we're going to hear later today from some of these networking of networks initiatives. But now we're going to hear from Juan Carlos Kaiten of the Interstellar University. And he's going to speak to us about the principle of innovation.
Thank you. Well, innovation is totally connected to the level of coherence we reach, as Julie said. The way we get into coherence, it will help us get into reaching personal, community, and organizational coherence. That's exactly what is going to take us to innovation. The more connected an ecosystem is, that is going to take us to greater levels of innovation. We still, in order to reach the capacities for the network of networks, we need to develop skills. We are working on different skills that we can reach planetary consciousness, how we develop intelligence to reach social acupuncture processes. How do we get to understand, how do we evolve our social operating system? So how do we evolve governance? How do we evolve economy? How do we evolve the way we build conscious communities? What we're looking into the Interstellar Community Foundation is to build the conscious communities. We don't want smart cities, we want to build conscious communities where we have new social operating systems helping us to reach greater levels of coherence. We are looking, innovation is going to take us to the moment of a planetary, it's going to take us to reclaim our cosmic destiny. Our divine, understand our divine nature of who we are in the universe, and that divine understanding is also a way to bring us into greater levels of innovation. Understanding what Earth is telling us and how Earth is calling us in to reach our divine nature, that is a path to innovation. So looking forward to keep developing all ways of synergy amongst all of us, because we are reaching this planetary moment of uniting efforts, everybody all at once. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And thank you for that beautiful term, our cosmic destiny. I think we're all ready to step into our cosmic destiny together. So our final principle is weaving a new narrative. So let's hear from our beloved Duane Elgin of Choosing Earth. Duane, I can't hear you.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
So, key question is, how in the world do we come together as a species, 8 billion people in synergy, not just a few organizations, but the totality, because we are facing an evolutionary catastrophe with the climate crisis, species extinction, and the rest. We're out of time. We need to come together in synergy now. And the key question is, can we do that? And I pick up my cell phone, and I say to people, look, 2/3 of the people on this planet have one of these in their pockets. They carry in their hands the tools of mass communication for us as a human species. If we want, we can have an Earth voice right now, a voice for the Earth that comes from the voices of billions of people coming together through the technologies that we carry in our hands, in our pockets. So what I want to contribute to this is opportunity, possibility, a sense of optimism for our future by using the technologies that we have combined with our human capacities for connection. And Irvin Laszlo is right. Something new is wanting to be born here, and what's being born is a conversation for the entire species. And so we have the tools now. The challenge is to use those tools, and that's what the Source of Synergy and partners are doing, mobilizing together to use those tools for a mass communication for our common future.
Wow. Thank you, Duane. And I know that you have an enormous initiative coming forward with Choosing Earth. And if you'd like to tell us just a little bit about that, we can move into our action calls.
Yeah. So we've taken the Earth for granted as a species. We just assumed a congenial climate and all the rest will always be there. Now we're saying, no, that's not the case. The Earth and the ecology of the Earth is in big trouble. We have to step up to a new level of responsibility and engagement with the well-being of the Earth. And this is a huge transition in human consciousness and culture and vision. of what we're doing here. And so we have to choose it. We can't just accept that it's always going to be here. We are on the line to step forward right now, this generation, choose the earth and the future that we want. It's a very high bar, but we're up to it because that is the challenge of an evolutionary species.
Amen to that. So we are moving into our calls to action from the Evolutionary Partners Network. And we would love to hear some ideas for action from Mitchel Rabin of A Better World. Mitchel.
Hi, Deb. Hi, everyone. I am feeling a beautiful coherence here in this space that we've all created. So thank you, Julie, for reminding us of that important principle. And did you all know that Kurt Johnson has developed an evolutionary leaders-based random house? It's incredible. How many books in so short a time? Amazing. That's social impact entrepreneurism in action. That's part of the action we're talking about. And I'll have a book for you relatively soon, as to add to the list. Yes, so my subject here is action. And I want to just kind of start with a few meaty words that underlie action when it's taken at its highest. And that is wisdom, meaning, purpose, mission, vision, out of which comes the deepest level of action. And when we're in touch with the purpose of our lives, the vision of it, the meaning of it, which is this DNA level of what drives us and gets us up in the morning, our lives become magical. George Burns, the famous Jewish comedian, said, "When I discovered what I loved doing, I never worked another day in my life." And I think that's just a beautiful way of framing life. And I know for myself, I run an organization called A Better World. And when I get up every day, it is reflection, meditation, and then I jump into action because my heart bid me to do certain things, to be involved in media, which I've been using, communication, which I've always been using, and underlies action and media. And from these, I generate, as so many of us have said here, Duane in particular, about communication, conversation. That's the beginning. But I really want to make a point. That's just the beginning. Prayer. We all know and feel in our hearts the value, the deep value and resonance of it. But let me tell you, as Duane said, we are at the verge of ecosystemic collapse. So prayer is not going to be the only thing we can rely on. I suggest that we step up to other levels of action. For myself, I recently interviewed a gentleman named Sam Daly Harris who wrote a book called Reclaiming Our Democracy. And we have what could be and should be what is called a participatory democracy. I used to have that on my website as a tab so people could get really bootstrapped into reclaiming and owning and talk about empowerment, Desiree. When we give our servants, called leaders, political leaders, our instruction manual of what we want to see them do with our energy in the form of money, we really start to make a difference on a higher level. And so it's all a kind of a scaling game. And I want to just bring that idea of instructing the people who are supposed to be doing our bidding, honestly, what to do. And this is something that most people shy away from, but I've learned myself through action that we really make a difference. We really do. For every letter we write, it's recognized as thousands on their desk. And it's that kind of responsibility I feel we need to take along with all the other things. I'll conclude with, I think I'm almost out of time, with an idea that Paul Hawken, the great environmental activist and leader, has put forth in a Bioneers talk he gave. And that is that there is a superpower on the planet. And it is not some kind of billionaire. It is not a president of a country. It is us. We are the superpower and we cannot be stopped. So when we collaborate, look at that beautiful word. Co, of course, which means with. Lab is an experiment, and labor inside of that, laboring and working together. And when we do that, we are unstoppable. So those are the words I want to say regarding action of our Evolutionary Leaders Partnership Network. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mitchel. And our thanks to all of the partners speaking here today, to all of those in the Zoom room with us, all of the partners who have made this symposium possible, and all of you partners who have been listening. And let's just close together by taking one big, deep breath and picturing the sparkling lights of all of the people around the planet who are stepping into their purpose, stepping into their sacred mission, awakening all of humanity to a beautiful new future. Because as Mitchel said, we are unstoppable. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Oh, wow. Reverend Deborah, thank you. Thank you so much. That was amazing, everybody. That was amazing. Thank you for all those incredible reflections right around the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, Reverend Deborah and Diane and Kurt Johnson in particular. I want to, shout out to you three for the pivotal role you've played in this symposium coming together, and Source of Synergy Foundation. Here we are on this session, Synergizing for Change, and everybody here in the EL Circle. It transformed my work and life being a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. Thanks to you, Kurt. And Diane and Deborah, thank you for the incredible stewardship and the work you do, all of those people that you mentioned and so many more that benefit from your stewardship and your leadership. And that was a beautiful, beautiful session. Thank you, Source of Synergy and Light on Light, for not just being a partner and collaborator, but also for being sponsors of this symposium. We're putting our money and our energy where our hearts are and coming together to put meaning and action to all of these beautiful ideals and words. And that was such a beautiful session, Deborah. Thank you so much for weaving it together so beautifully. So we're going to move on to our next speaker. Thank you, everybody. Wow, we're off to an amazing start, Synergizing for Change. And our next speaker, really building on these themes of humanity's sacred mission, implementation, synergizing for change, really as somebody who covers all of these spaces. Linda Bjork leads the Inner Business Institute. She's the founder of Mindfulness Intelligence and the author of the popular leadership book, Inner Business, Training Your Mind for Leadership Success. Known as a dynamic and transformational speaker, Linda frequently gives lectures and workshops at various organizations, keynotes, conferences, and educational seminars. Although high performance, creativity, profitability, well-being, and collaboration were important staples of Linda Bjork's success as a leader during her 10 years as a CEO, the interest for evolving human potential in a broader way took over. In 2014, Linda started focusing all of her energy on deeply understanding and developing tools to help leaders and teams become the type of leaders the future demands of us. Clients get to connect with their inner strength, utilize the genius of their whole minds, and finally live up to their full potential individually as team members and leaders. What that bio doesn't say is that Linda's also an interfaith minister and one of these incredible Renaissance people that are showing up on the planet and doing amazing things. And so great, sister, to have you here with us. Welcome, Linda Bjork, to the symposium.
It's so great to be here with you, brother. I am absolutely delighted. And yeah, the humanity's sacred mission, those three words I have lived with for a bit since well, since I was asked to speak into them. And I've been pondering, and recently I met someone for the first time. All right, in all transparency, it was a date. and I said to this person that these are some of the things that I hold sacred. And so this Wall Street guy, he was just like, what do you mean sacred? And I was just like, what do you mean? What do I mean sacred? Like something I revere. He was like, oh, like something that's important to you. Well, yes, important to me, but also important to my higher self and to universal consciousness and to God. And him being a very curious person, he asked, and how do you know what's important to God? I was just like, oh my God, that is such a fabulous question. And taking that in here, how do we know what's sacred? And I'm so glad that I'm surrounded by this awesome wisdom, and it's such an honor to be here with everyone. So many wonderful faces that I enjoy seeing regularly. And we're here exploring the sacred together, the unnameable. But we are also reminded that we do that from a limited human consciousness. And the emphasis then will be on humanity and the big human embrace of it all, because honestly, that's all we know, in a way, probably. So I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't trust our own sense of the sacred or of God or unity, but we just need to be clear that we're exploring humanity's sacred mission as humans, feeling what we sometimes call an evolutionary pull or feel part of a cosmic dance. So if you're actually one of the people that don't know if your mission is sacred and you have a hard time placing the sacredness of it all, you might feel left out or overwhelmed. Don't worry. We're probably crazy, all of us anyway, and we wouldn't know because crazy people don't know we're crazy. So I'm here to remind us in all of this profundity that when we have a mission, let's do it lightly. And in the process, let's practice not taking ourselves too seriously. Let's get into the dance and the play of it. And also, let's look at being inspired by unexpected people and find resonance in surprising places. So on a day-to-day basis, as you heard, I run the Inner Business Institute, and we're working with elevating self-awareness, situational awareness, whole world awareness, raising human consciousness, and expanding mind skills in the business world. And I'm constantly surprised at how much the spiritual world and the business world can learn from each other. And business, for one, is great at mobilizing for change. And here we are talking about humanity's sacred mission and synergizing for change. So if we're moving from mobilizing for change to synergizing for change, we're not just coming together to do things on a timeline towards a new goal, right? We're literally seeking to come together so that the effect of change is much greater than the sum of our separate effects. In physics terms, we're seeking constructive interference, two of my words, which means that the vibrational waves we emanate match the waves of people we're engaging with. And our wave then, the amplitude of our waves actually doubles. That's the constructive interference. And that is creating a much higher wave than the two separate ones. It is different than what we started off with as two separate waves. And since we all are really nothing but waves, our feelings, our thoughts, brain, heart, our real action point is actually to mind our waves. If we had all day, we could go through how to specifically impact our electromagnetic reality and just make super waves with other superstars. But let's just cut to the chase. What I've learned in the past 25 years in leadership is that most of these big and complex things come back to the simplicity and the beauty of being human. And maybe that's the only sacred mission I can fully understand and get behind, which is that we become exceedingly abundantly great at humaning. Because then our tangible actions as leaders, really no matter what we're up to, no matter what mission and what we call our mission, need to be specifically guided by three concepts. And the first one is to heal. We need to heal and regulate our nervous systems as humans so we humanly get great at taking authentic action instead of reacting with old programming. And until we heal, we can't stand any inner pain and will continue the transference of pain through painful action towards others. Or we suppress the pain and then we harm ourselves. But as we heal, we learn to deal with pain enough so that we can transmute it, we can learn from it, and we can grow as humans, and we don't keep passing it on. And the second principle after heal becomes love. And so many people have spoken beautifully into the heart already. And I may not know what constitutes the sacred for humanity, but I know love. And I know you know love. I am love and you are love. And we know that we can't lead people if we don't love people. We can't lead a project if we don't love the project. So love actually becomes our specific action, which very often will make itself known as kindness. And the third principle then is to lead. And leadership is this beautiful art form of orchestrating energy. And we need to learn how to read and lead our own energy and learn how to run constructive interference with the ones around us, so that we can synergize what is in our hearts. And so healing and loving and leading are specifically what I teach leaders and managers around the world. And this is what I call mindfulness intelligence. And we teach leaders to be fully human, first and foremost, self-awareness through both science and spirituality. And then in wholeness, they can step into an energy-aware space of being superhuman and impacting evolution of consciousness. And who knows, our efforts may even send a ripple beyond the confines of human consciousness. And Heal, Love, Lead will also be the name of my next book. It's coming out next winter. And as a call to action, I want to let you know that I do run an evolutionary project called The Becoming of Business, where I explore evolutionary ramifications of business decisions with leaders and experts, ranging from evolutionary biologists, FBI executives, other military folks, C-suite business folks, spiritual leaders. And what we do when we come together in dialogue between me and the guests is that we look at the world in their view right now, where evolution is heading, if we do little or nothing to change, and we'll look at my guests' vision for a future that they feel excited about. And then we discuss action steps to take to change that trajectory of their vision. And some of the evolutionary leaders who have been part of the Becoming of Business so far are Jude Currivan and Ben Bowler and Kurt Johnson and so many more. And we're going to have new Bob dialogues. I call it Bob Becoming of Business, coming out at the end of Q1 2024. Please let me know. Email me at linda@bjorkbusiness.com if you have ideas for great leaders. First, you can check out what we're doing at thebecomingofbusiness.com and also see more of the work I'm doing at lindabjork.org. So with that, I just want to be here and tell you to stay weird and spacious and keep healing and loving and leading. And I hope to see you, so much more of you, very, very soon. Much love, everyone.
Thank you so much, Linda Bjork. Thank you for the beautiful work you're doing, bringing healing, loving, and leading into the world of business. And
thank you so much, Reverend Deborah. Thank you.
How much synergizing for change can come out of that. And I salute you as a fellow interfaith minister as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And it's an honor to have you as well in the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. So this has been a time to hear from some powerful women. And it's my honor to introduce 3 powerful women to you today. And what they have in common is that they are all instrumental in helping to bring forth the Holomovement, which you can see at holomovement.net. So let me tell you who they are and where they've come from, and then we'll let them tell us more about what they're doing to network our networks. So we'll start with Tammy Scarlett. She is an inspirational leader, strategist, and energetics mentor for both people and systems development. As the executive director of Unify, a global nonprofit for world peace and impact that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, Tammy believes in implementing systemic change with strategy, with efficiency and abundance for the thriving of our future. Combining her Harvard education in anthropology and MBA studies with her time spent with Native American and First Nations communities, Tammy promotes a return to ancient wisdom and nature to inform global systems solutions, including integrative education for children and accessible dynamic finance. Her work has been featured on WGN and Forbes. Next, we have Rachel Morrison. Rachel's passion for impact has led her to direct global partnerships, ask questions, and develop teams that bring the possibility of inspired vision into grounded, motivated action. She's dedicated to global health and bringing the body of humanity back into balance with all of life. Rachel brings her diverse background and insights to support community systems and collective intelligence to create a generative future. She's been a pioneer in regenerative culture and is a strong advocate for redefining the value of the planet through meaningful connection. This unique approach has taken Rachel into joint ventures, unified efforts, and systemic change initiatives at the forefront of innovation in the fields of community building, technology, market-ready development, large-scale social impact events, virtual economies, media, and regenerative education. She's an avid writer, a ghostwriter, a content advisor, a speaker, a panelist on all of these topics, bringing an added emphasis to the importance of exponential creativity and audacious communication. And Rachel's also been honored as a prayer keeper to Indigenous councils for select events. And then our third amazing woman is Reverend Paulette Pipe. She is a gifted meditation teacher who's best known as the host of Touching the Stillness, the popular podcast for meditation, mindfulness, and spiritual practice. For 9 years, from 2012 to 2021, Paulette held the role of Keeper of the Flame for Unity Worldwide Ministries Board of Trustees, silently holding sacred space during board meetings to support its deliberations and decision-making process, and acting as the liturgist during their annual general meetings. She is also a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, a project of the Source of Synergy Foundation, and she currently serves as our Keeper of the Flame. She's a British-born native, currently residing in Lee Summit, Missouri, and we love her very much. So we now have Paulette, Rachel, and Tammy.
Hello, everyone. I'll begin. Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you, Ben, and all of those involved in the symposium. It's my honor to begin our session as Keeper of the Flame for both the evolutionary leaders and the Holomovement by demonstrating one of our purposes. We believe in the Holomovement that, as Linda was speaking to earlier, that part of what we're doing in this network of network evolution it has to come from the implicate order, the internal order, the inner realm where we connect with the cosmos or the divine or whatever name or nature we know it to be. And then it's from there that the action comes, from the inner to the explicate order into the outer. So I want to demonstrate that by pulling that golden thread that Julie helped us weave at the beginning of this session and taking us a little deeper, so that as Tammy and Rachel share with you today, I will hold that sacred space, but we will do it together as we pull that thread in a moment of stillness. So I invite you, wherever you are, to just turn your attention inside. Allow your attention to drop down to your heart space at the center of your being. And as you take in your big breath into your heart, you're breathing in the cosmos. And as you exhale your breath all the way out, you're letting out that energy of love and order. And that way we come into entrainment. We come together in our implicate order. And there we connect our intentions, heart to heart. And we are also open and receptive to what is ours to do, what is our sacred action to take. There's a beautiful song by Muriel Burrs that says, "How would I treat myself if I knew I was sacred? How would I love myself if nothing was wrong?" We'd enjoy what's on the inside and sing to the world a beautiful song. So breathe in your dragon breath, exhale your breath as we pause in the stillness of the silence. Beautiful, thank you. And now I hand it over to Tammy and Rachel to share more about the Holomovement and what it stands for.
Thank you so much for that, Paulette. You always lead us into such beautiful heart spaces. And that was just what I needed this morning. So thank you. I just will mention briefly that I think it's important to note that the Holomovement is not an entity. It's not an organization. And that's part of what really drew me to being involved in the beginning, is that David Boehm's work was talking really about systems and how we work innately as fractals of nature. And holons coming into Holomovement is this sort of evolutionary way of being. And it's actually a methodology for evolution, right? So recognizing that the Holomovement, that we're calling it as a name, is really humans, we humans, allowing ourselves to recognize what is already taking place and going ahead and assigning name to it, because that's part of what we do to label and make sense of things, and allowing each to have their full sense of agency come to their table as part of the ecosystem that simply is. When we recognize it and we see that there's value in leaning into one another and maybe evolving together, then that gives us a little bit of an advantage to be able to have intention with what it is that we're trying to co-create. So ultimately, the thing that I would start off with introducing the Holomovement by saying is that it really is already all of us in motion. It's already you, it's already me, it's already all of our organizations, regardless of whether or not this might be your first time of hearing the term Holomovement. So with that, I will turn it over to lovely Rachel.
Thanks, Tammy. I had to compose myself when I first got on this camera and saw the familiar faces in this room. And I was just taken away by the amount of kinship and connection and gratitude that I was having just flow through me. I was so not expecting to see so many familiar faces. So this was such a lovely surprise to see everyone. And yes, I have things to say about Holomovement. And this is part of Holomovement too, because it's not just about acknowledging the path that's come before. And I remember being so young and so inspired, and so many people in this room were like, hey, nice to meet you for the first time. And the transition of all of us stepping in/out of our ability to become a good ancestor and a good elder, but also a fantastic ally here and now. And this is absolutely crucial for us to understand as the embodied extension of the superorganism that is all of life, coming together to cohere, to connect, to resonate, to co-create and disseminate our purest heart's intention, aligned with our connected values and our sacred destiny, as was shared before. And when we do that, the planetary culture and the evolutionary perspective through our allied partner networks becomes one of the most sacred forms we could ever practice together. And so that's what's happening in this conversation that we're having together this weekend, in the Holomovement, in the things that you're already doing that are bringing that vibration into the world in some of the most miraculous and unexpected ways. And so, because of that, we get to invite everyone here, everyone out there, and especially us in here, into a community of practice where we get to discover what it's like to become a more authentic expression of that superorganism in resonance with the collective and embodying the voice of Gaia, the mission that we're bringing forward as most sacred, most cherished. And because of that, we're willing to do whatever it takes. And so if you want to come and play with us, find us, right? There's Rachel Morrison, there's Tammy Scarlett, there's Paulette Pipe, and there's holomovement.net. And there's so many of us that are there ready to connect, ready to explore, and ready to discover what might be possible when we do this and when we're saying our sacred yes to our sacred mission.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Rachel, for saying that. Calling us all to play.
Yeah.
I also really loved what Paulette opened with when, Paulette, you mentioned the lyric, how would I treat myself if I knew I was sacred? And it made me feel that there's a difference between knowing and feeling I have to prove. When I feel that I have to prove that I'm sacred, there'll always be this sense of struggle. But if I really am relaxing into the knowing that I am sacred in the midst of all things being sacred, then there's something that allows my being to be able to release that tension between the visions that we hold for hope for the future and the pressures of what we must do to get there. And that, I think, is part of what we're all learning as we're evolving together. So for the Holomovement, we don't have a single call to action because we're representative of the whole. So the Holomovement's call to action would be to listen, show up with yourself, hold yourself as sacred, relax into that, and then find ways that you want to connect. Also, Ben is going to be, I think, giving us a Holomovement quiz with some giveaways of Holomovement books. And last, certainly not least, probably what I'm most grateful for is Paulette giving us a minute here to close out in heart coherence.
Thank you. The book, the Holomovement book, the subtitle is Embracing Our Collective Purpose, but I also like to think of it as embracing our capacity and our collective purpose to unite humanity. And so every time we gather together for a core team or an advisory team, as this evolutionary networks of networks continues to expand, like the super body connections that are being made around the planet, when we're in coherence in meetings, I like to end or start our time together with the following prayer statement or affirmative statement. So will you join me and allow these words to be the intention of us all collectively? Ignited and activated, the Holomovement is evolving with amazing sacred power, purity, playfulness, and purpose. Undergirded with joy, it motivates divinely inspired creative action. Action that is in service to humanity and a world that works for all. A world that works for all sentient beings, the cosmos, and beyond. That is our heart intention, to unite humanity. That is our individual and collective call to action. And so it is. Namaste.
Thank you.
So it is.
Thank you, Reverend Paulette. Yes, and so it is, this collective intention to unite humanity. And thank you, Tammy and Rachel and Paulette, for that beautiful synthesizing of the Holomovement and what it's becoming, what it is. It's such an important, emergent reality on the planet right now. Some of us were fortunate enough to be at the initial gathering in Sedona last year, and there are more events coming up around the world. Keep an eye out for the Holomovement. It's coming to a field near you because it is really that intention to bring and connect so many different elements together. So important. And the leadership of Emmanuel and Laura and everybody involved, we give thanks. And thank you for representing and doing such a beautiful job, Paulette, Tammy, and Rachel. We're going to give away some books, courtesy of Light on Light and Kurt Johnson, who's got some of these Holomovement anthologies are incredible. So in the spirit to close this particular presentation on the Holomovement, let's get into it. We're going to have a quiz. Get your phones out. Get ready. We're going to give away 5 Holomovement books. We'll get the 5 winners and we'll send them to you. Kurt, we'll send them to you. So we're going to do that right now. So let's get into it. Phones out, QR code. Let me just grab the link so we can get that in the chat real quickly so that everybody in the Zoom room can play along, whether or not they are going to use the QR code. Just let me get this in the chat there to the team there that's in the participants room, and let's get back into it. All right, so excuse me. Lots of different things happening here. We are going to do this little quiz to give away 5 books for the Holomovement. And here it comes. So get your phones out, QR code. I think that link should be going through. And now just on the QR code, there we go. Just open your camera, open it up, and you should be able to join. Is that coming through? Is that being pumped into the participants room? Can you see that, what I'm sharing?
Yes, it's up, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Julie. Waiting for players. People seem to be coming in. Let me just make sure that I'm sharing this properly. Present. Let's not give the, oh, okay, here we go. Now that's the way it should look like. All right. 60 players ready to play. We've got 5 books to give away. Are you ready for the first question? Should we give it another 20 seconds to join? 64 players ready to play. All right, we'll give you another 15 seconds. You can either click on the link that's in the chat there, or you can just open your phone, the camera, and the QR code. When we get to 70, let's get to 70 players, and then we're gonna start in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. All right, ready? Here comes your first question. It's coming. All right, let's go. First question, answer fast to get more points. So you got to get the correct answer, but you got to be quick. Which term did David Bohm coin to describe the interconnectedness of the universe? There it is, string theory, quantum entanglement, holomovement, or the holographic principle. Which term did David Bohm coin to describe the interconnectedness of the universe? You've got 4 seconds left to answer. And there are 4 different answers there. And let's see. Well, there we go. Quite strong, quantum entanglement and the holographic principle. But it was, of course, the holomovement. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Oh, there's a leaderboard. Let's have a look and see who got off to a good start. Scott Katamas is on the leaderboard. That's good to see. Danalia Castell. That's great. Fantastic. Tom Acklin. Brilliant. And up the top, Celeste. All right, but there's 2 more questions. So there's 2 more questions to go. Let's go. Next one. Question 2. You ready? Let's do it. Okay. Answer fast to get more points. The top 5 get a book from Kurt Johnson, possibly signed. What term did David Bohm use to describe the underlying order of the universe? Was it the fractal order, the implicate order, the chaotic order, or the random order? Which term did David Bohm use to describe the underlying order of the universe, which he believed could be accessed through holistic understanding? Fractal, implicate, chaotic, or random? Whoa, quite a lot for fractal. Implicate is correct. Is correct. Beautiful. Okay, let's go and have a look at the leaderboard after 2. There's 1 more question to go. Will Scott Katama still be on the board? Yes, he is. Dana Lee is there. Tom, Scarlett, Casper, Montana, and Celeste still up the top. Yes. Yes. All right, the top 5 get a book. You ready for the final question? All right, you ready? Let's go. So, question 3 and final question. Are you ready? Remember to answer quickly to get the most points, but you got to get it right. And here comes the question. This is quite involved. What did David Bohm emphasize regarding the relationship between the parts and the whole? Parts are independent of the whole. Parts are interconnected but do not influence the whole. Parts of the whole are inseparable and mutually influence each other. The whole determines the behavior of the parts. What did David Bohm emphasize about the relationship between the parts and the whole? Let's see. Whoa, what a brilliant group. Amazing. Of course, parts and the whole are inseparable and mutually influence each other. So this is the final leaderboard, guys. The top 5 get a book. And we're going to see, is there any changes in the top there? And it's going to click. We better get a photo of this. And it looks like Celeste has taken it out with Tom Acklin second, Universal Resource Unlimited. And we'll need to see, but beyond that, the various leaderboard will be able to get it. It looks like Scarlett, is that Tammy? I'm not sure, but we'll get the answers. I think Irina, just email irina@unity.earth if you're in the top 5 there. Danalia Castell, very close to the top 5. We'll make sure we get the leaderboard in a legible way. And the top 5, congratulations. Celeste, you are our winner. Tom Acklin, congratulations. Universal Resource Unlimited. And Scarlett, it looks like. And then we'll have to identify who that is there. Oh, wow. That's exciting. That's exciting. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Kurt, for giving away those books. We'll chase up the top 5. You got to be quick with the camera there at the end to take a photo of the leaderboard because it comes a little bit illegible there at one point. All right. Well, that was fun. Yes, you were Scarlett. So Tammy, yes, you were Scarlett. Well done. You're in the top 5. Well done. You get a book signed by Dr. Kurt Johnson, and we'll find out who the 5th place was. All right. Moving into closing our visionary voices today is an exceptional human and a remarkable talent and just a beautiful heart. And it's everybody's dear friend, Gary Malkin. Gary is a multiple Emmy award-winning composer, public speaker, performer, and music and health innovator who empowers the world to embrace music as a catalyst for a more meaningful life. He is dedicated to redefining music's role in society, with a particular focus on developing musical strategies to cultivate greater heart and soul integration in healthcare, corporate leadership, online protocols, and global healing. His work features spoken word and music delivery systems for heart-soul coherence, entitled Alchemic Wisdom, supporting people to listen to wisdom not only with the mind, but with the heart and soul as well. And Gary is also an emissary of the Holomovement and Unity Earth and Purpose Earth and the Sign Network and all of these amazing groups and networks. And Gary, you're just out there on the edges and fringes of evolutionary becoming with your courageous heart, soul, mind, talents, gifts, and genius. It's great to have you with us, Gary Malkin.
I'm so honored. Oh my God, what an experience being with these people, these magnificent evolutionary leaders. Thank you, Ben, for the opportunity. And what I have to share could fill 8 hours. So it's so great because the nervousness I have is, how can I do this in 10 minutes? But I will try. One of the things that I am so moved by, I mean, in your brilliance of curation, Ben, is that you put me in this place after these remarkable shares, Linda, Paulette, Tammy, I mean, everyone, right? So one of the things that I really started to look at was synergy in the ecosystem of the human being. And when I thought about it, embodiment is the result of synergy with a unified field at every scale. So what if, just put on your what if hat for a moment. What if the invention of heart rate variability and heart coherence was actually just cracking open the door of a new understanding of what coherence really is? And what if music, as the universal language of emotion, had the capacity to awaken our vibrational capacity to synergize biochemically, molecularly, cellularly, right? What if the actual, they say in physics, when you watch something, it changes by the way you bring your attention to something. Forgive me for paraphrasing because I'm an artist, not a physicist. But what if we were consciously aware that when energy meets matter, it requires a conscious capacity to be present to the melting, to the thawing, to the dissolving of energy meeting matter in a way that synergizes into something new. So in the spirit of that, would you guys all be willing to go through some vibrational calisthenics with me in this short period we have together? I started to realize that the art of film composing is about synthesizing an emotional experience that gives you an accelerated access to a way of feeling certain emotions. And when we can expand our emotional range, even in a minute, it actually enables us to actually develop this inquiry and curiosity around vibrational coherence. So first of all, here's a short cue I did for a version of The Journey of the Universe that Brian Swim, when he was funding this video, I created music for two-thirds of the film. And a short little cue, but just this experience of awe. What if we could experience and touch it in like 30 seconds? Here we go. Now, I often say the most important moment in the music, when we are in the sacred act of listening together, is when it ends, because it becomes a metaphoric expression of death, of the ending of something. And then we experience the shore meeting the sea. And how did the result of that short 45-minute cue, what did it do to you? How can you even awaken the parts of you that can sense into that molecular synergy that happens when energy meets the cochlea of the ear and turns into something that goes to a biochemical reality in your brain? What happens to us in our inner ecology? This is why I keep on saying that I'm not about entertainment when I create music. I'm interested in inner entrainment, entertainment. So let's go to another piece and let's exercise the ability, like, who was it? Brene Brown wrote this book called The Atlas of the Human Heart, right? So what if our ability to expand our emotional range of emotion deepens our ability to explore the benefits of vibrational coherence, of coherence at every scale, body, mind, heart, and soul? That fascinates me. So why don't we just go to, what if we were the witness in the moment of a supernova being burst into reality? Listen to this and close your eyes as a way to deepen the experience. And take a breath and feel the anticipation. And allow the music to shape your ability to feel, right? And how does that expand your experience with coherence on a multiple scale level? Here we go. Imagine we're in the middle of the universe watching a supernova being birthed. Oh, so we don't know yet if there is such a thing as vibrational coherence. But what if there was some way in which a new understanding of music and sound, and especially the art of film scoring, which is a phenomenally it's a mysterious art form, right? How it quintessentially captures an emotion, right? What if that has a role to play in awakening this embodiment of our relationship to the unified field on every scale? And I'm looking at the time, and did you start this thing at 5 minutes? Because I can't believe it.
No, you got a minute to go, Gary. It's beautiful.
All right.
You got a minute to go.
Thank you. All right. So then I'll just play the last thing. So what if there's this sense of belonging, this feeling of just grounded? This is also a piece from Pachamama that I created. So you feel how it kind of makes you feel in flow, right? Makes you want to move. Everything's okay, right? The rhythm, the heart, the soul, the mind, all is well, right? It changes cymatically our interstitial music of our whole being. So what if listening was a sacred act that contributed to our inner ability to cultivate, as Paulette said, cultivate our connection to the Holomovement? Listening is a sacred act that can actually refine our inner ecology and expand our emotional range and help us remember who we are and what matters most. And the last thing I'll say is when I heard Jacob do this beautiful share of the Celtic cross, how important that was for us to remember it's not just STEM or STEAM, but stream, adding the R, relational intelligence, as well as the arts into this acronym. Thank you for letting me share a few moments of my passion and how music can awaken our sense of connection to who we are and what matters most. I love you, Ben. Thank you for that.
That was brilliant, Gary. Thank you so much. I love the music and the range you bring and the different emotions that it evokes. It's so powerful. Music is really at the heart of everything we're doing, ultimately comes down to that vibrational intelligence. And you're such a master of it, Gary. Thank you for being with us and thank you for sharing. Please come over. We're all going to jump into the engagement room, into the participants room for the engagement hour. We're going to have a beautiful transition now led by Patricia Wagner from Grace Unlimited. And this is a reflection on the two doors. So Patricia, thank you for being with us. I'm going to allow you to, I'm going to get you to introduce and share with us what you're going to do for this transition as we all come over to the participants room.
Thank you so much, Ben, for allowing me to be here. This is a monumental symposium, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. In 1999, I received this Two Doors vision. The composite shown on this slide depicts what I saw and experienced. Even though I knew this vision was divinely sent, I could not embody the message. Remember, in 1999, no one was talking about gratitude or creating heaven on earth. It was 19 years later when I first took a close look at what this vision revealed. First, it revealed our purpose in life, a realization of oneness with God. Second, it revealed that we have choices in how we awaken, consciously through gratitude or unconsciously, as we have been doing, learning our lessons through the challenges of life. And third, it revealed that no matter which path we choose to awaken, the inevitable destination is heaven on earth. I have come to believe that this Two Doors vision is actually humanity's vision. Just as Spirit freely gave it to me, I freely share it with anyone and everyone who would like to use it as your personal vision. Over the last 25 years since the Two Doors vision appeared, humanity's consciousness has evolved. I've realized that everything is energy and therefore everything is changeable. It is the frequency at which we most consistently vibrate that outpictures in our lives. The higher the vibrational frequency, the more heavenly life becomes. We have within us all the capabilities to create heaven on earth. In fact, we were born for this and are essential for the process. All we need to do is to train ourselves to consciously create heaven. How do we do that? We use our God-given superpowers, our minds and our hearts, our thoughts and our feelings to energetically bring into visibility a divine reality here on earth. There is a divine two-step practice I'd like to share with you now. If I could move the slide. All right, here we go. You have heard where attention goes, energy flows. The first step in the divine two-step is to attune our minds to the divine all the time. Easy? No. Simple? Yes. And achievable. Because you're in the symposium, chances are you're already doing many of these spiritual practices. But do you ever find yourself between your prayer times or your meditation times when your mind drifts into thought patterns that are less than divine? I know I can. I'd like to bring your attention to looking for light. Many people for years now have been playing this little mindfulness game with much success. In looking for light, we keep our minds searching only for light and good in God in every situation and circumstance. At the end of the day of playing the game of looking for light, our whole energy field is uplifted into the frequencies of gratitude and joy. You can obtain a free copy of the Game of Looking for Light at the website lookingforlight.net. The second step in the Divine Two-Step is living in heart-centered gratitude. For years now, gratitude experts have given us wonderful ways to establish an attitude of gratitude. My favorite way, and one that I found to be the most effective in sustaining an attitude of gratitude, is by anchoring to the feeling of gratitude in your heart all day, every day. If you take up that practice, anchoring to the feeling of gratitude in your heart, and make that your number one priority in a very short time, you will realize the transformative power of living in heart-centered gratitude. In the Divine Two-Step, attuning our mind to the divine all the time while maintaining an attitude of gratitude, your divine ideas are planted, take root, and grow in the nutrient-rich garden soil of gratitude. Your mind is the receiver. Your heart is the transmitter. We can each become vibrating, living prayers of thanksgiving, heralding in heaven on earth. It begins with intention, choosing, committing, and cultivating a deep desire to realize oneness. It develops by practicing the Divine Two-Step, dancing our way to heaven on earth by attuning our minds to the divine all the time while maintaining an attitude of gratitude. Our call to action begins internally through raising our vibratory frequency so that when we do step into action, we bring inspired solutions from a higher consciousness to whatever the situation may be. By becoming a living prayer of thanksgiving, paradigm-shifting manifestations will become self-evident first in your life and then in our world. Thank you for your time today, and namaste.
Beautiful, Patricia. Great job. Beautiful transition. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well.
I have a great trust in human nature because human nature is nature in the human form.
We are 8 billion people living on one planet. Will we ever be a global community living in peace with each other and harmony with the earth? Or are we doomed to increasing destruction, degradation of nature, and endless antagonism towards each other? There is a critical mass around the world now that realizes it is ultimately up to us in our common humanity to answer and act on this fundamental question.
There is a mission. There is a tremendous wave surfacing. People joining together, asking, what can we do? We cannot go on as we were. We have to move forward.
While institutions fail us in this critical moment, we must look for hope in ourselves and each other to become and to drive the change, the upshift that needs to happen now. This is your invitation to Awakening Humanity's Sacred Mission, an international symposium and call to action. This live global online event, initiated by Irvin Laszlo, represents an unprecedented cooperation of global impact networks. The symposium, featuring many of the world's leading thinkers and activists, is free to all and takes place on February 9th through 11th, 2024, across the Lunar New Year. We invite you to join us in awakening to humanity's sacred mission, together as one human family. The time has come. Register for free now, and please share widely.
People are already beginning to feel it. There is a great upshift underway today. So join it, because together we can fulfill the sacred mission of humanity.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful session from the Visionary Voices. That was awesome. Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here in this room, the participants' room, to get into this engagement session. And I'm going to go straight to introducing David Lorimer, who is going to be facilitating this session. I want to thank all of the Visionary Voices. It was so wonderful. And now, just to introduce David, I did have his bio up here. Excuse me for a second. David Lorimer is from Science and Medical Foundation. And just bear with me. That was beautiful too, Patricia, that beautiful transition of the two doors meditation. Thank you. David Lorimer is a writer, lecturer, and editor who's founder of many different things, including the Scientific and Medical Network. Has an incredible career and has authored or written over a dozen books, including The Spirit of Science, Thinking Beyond the Brain, Consciousness and Ultimate Reality, and The Protein Crunch, which is amazing. He is a founding member of the International Futures Forum, was editor of its digest Omnipedia, Thinking for Tomorrow. He's also a trustee of the St. Andrews Prize for the Environment and a Churchill Fellow. Another one of these extraordinary humans that are on the planet at this time doing amazing things. David, thank you for being facilitator of this engagement session. Welcome, and thank you for your beautiful poetry, the golden thread and the gifts that have really flowed all the way through. It's so great to have you with us.
Ben, thank you so much. And it's wonderful to be here with everybody. I've scrolled through the participant list and I've seen a few friends here, but many people I don't know. And so greetings and blessings to everyone on the call after that extraordinarily inspiring session where we heard from many of the evolutionary leaders, the partners, and we're thinking about how we can come together, synergizing for change. And this session will open up some of these ideas and initiatives for us to exchange and take part in. But I'm going to make a few introductory remarks. Then I'm going to say something about Peter Dunoff. I put a PowerPoint at 1725 into the chat if you want to know more about that, because I won't be giving a presentation, obviously. And I'd like to bring two of my sort of mentors in at this point. One I never knew, and that was Dr. Albert Schweitzer. And he said, our task is to become more finely and deeply human, more finely and deeply human. And the other person that came to mind during the remarks was Sir George Trevelyan, who was a pioneer of the New Age, and I knew him very well. And he used to quote this. He said, angels fly because they take themselves lightly. Angels fly because they take themselves lightly. And so I think a sense of humor is critical in this respect. And then once I've spoken about Peter Dunoff, I'm going to introduce my friend Joanna Stratova, who's going to play a couple of his compositions for us. I think what's very important in our time is synergy, symbiosis, as has been said already, but also mutual aid and mutual support. And this is really a decentralized vision of the future. It's unity in diversity, as Jude Currivan often says. It's not mechanical uniformity, which our elites seem to think is the answer to all our problems. We need to copy nature, to be the Holomovement, and to be this unity in diversity. And together, by coming together in this symposium, we're able to meet each other, to be here with our organizations. I'm representing at one level the Scientific and Medical Network, and we have one of our vice presidents, Marilyn Monk, who's on the call with us, and who's written about love from a scientific point of view. And she might be able to put the link in for you into the chat. Now, coming on to Peter Dunoff, this is a picture of the front cover of my edited book, and you can see his benevolent presence there in the book. And I'm going to begin with one of his prayers. And this is him at prayer. And you can see that. It's a very powerful photo. And on a Saturday, this is the weekly round of prayers, we have a small prayer. And what I think is very important is that we need to invoke other levels of being. We can't make this transition on our own. We need to invoke the hierarchies, the angels, spiritual beings, the great masters, who are all trying to help us make this transition that we're here to talk about. And here is a small prayer. Lord my God, make me to see thy face. Gladden me for the sake of thy name. Bless me for the sake of thy mercy. Enlighten me for the sake of thy spirit. Exalt me for the sake of thy word. Help me for the sake of thy promise. Guide me for the sake of thy truth. Support me for the sake of thy justice. Blessed art thou, Lord, forever, for thou art kind and truthful towards all. And this is a prayer by Peter Dunoff. Now, his philosophy of a culture of love is absolutely essential to our future. And this is, he was talked himself about being the prophet of a culture of love. And there are 5 principles that he talked about: love, wisdom, truth, goodness, and justice. Goodness or virtue, justice or equity. And principal among these are love, wisdom, and truth. And so our sacred mission, from this point of view, I believe, is to manifest these principles of love, wisdom, and truth, which have already been referred to in this call. And the qualities of the follower, the disciple, the people who are like us, who are dedicated to divine service, are love, light, peace, and joy. And I would add gratitude to that. Patricia, thank you very much indeed. And these 5 principles are instantiated in the sacred dance movements of paneurythmy. And the paneurythmy, both the movements and the music were composed by Peter Dunoff. And I'm just going to share a couple of preparatory movements with you so you can see the principle that is at stake here. I can't obviously do these properly, but let me just give you a little bit. And here is, may the blessing of God descend on my soul. So you see, blessing of God descend on my soul. And you, if you're doing this outside, you'll be doing it going back 3 times and forward 3 times, away from the center and back to the center. And then the second one is, may divine love live in my soul. And you go right down. I can't describe it. I can't imitate it on a small screen like this, but I'm going to put into the chat a video of me demonstrating the 6 exercises on YouTube, and the formulas are there with them. And so this is something you can do even stationary. May the blessing of God descend on my soul, and you will feel that. You will feel the blessing coming down on your own head, and of course, it's a blessing to all of those people who are here. And so, at this point, I'm going to introduce my friend and sister in the movement, Joanna Strativa, who's going to play for us 2 of the compositions by Peter Dunoff. And let me just get my text here so that I've got something to refer to. And Joanna, she graduated from the State Music Academy in Sofia, Bulgaria. And she's a laureate of various international competitions and was professor of music at the State Music Academy and the New Bulgarian University. Like Peter Dunoff, she is a violinist. And in another context, you might hear her play the Bach's double violin concerto or his A minor concerto. She's given concerts throughout Europe and America, and she's recorded 4 audio CDs. What she's going to do is she's going to perform 2 songs by the master Ben Saduno, which is the spiritual name for Peter Dunoff. And in the teachings of the master, she explains that music plays an essential part, and we've heard this from Gary as well, because according to him, music does not belong to our physical world, but comes from a higher world. Music is a link between the physical and the spiritual world, and is a powerful aid, a magical force which has the power to transform. So the culture of love is also a culture of music, a culture of rhythm, a culture of unification. The lyrics of the 2 songs you're about to hear were given by the master in an ancient sacred language called Vatan, V-A-T-A-N, which cannot be translated into modern languages. And he composed 200 songs, and some of these I sing on a regular basis, as well as doing the exercises. And she writes that if one performs this music with concentration and absorption, one will be able to penetrate the content of the text. The first song is called Neva Sanzu. The words Neva Sanzu are like a mantra, a prayer, or the name of a higher being, a higher power. The song gives the idea of the sacrifice that superior beings make when they come down to earth to help us, the bodhisattvas, if you like. And the second song is one of my favorites, and it's called The Inner Voice of God. Sorry, I've forgotten the word for voice. The Inner Voice of God. It's a musical meditation in which we touch something great and something sublime and beautiful that resonates deep within our soul. Voice, in fact, is glas in Bulgarian, I've just remembered. So I'm going to hand over now to Joanna, who is in Sofia with Jordanka, her friend, who is assuring the technical connection.
Ooh.
We can't hear.
David, it looks like, I think it's Danny.
Yes.
There we go. Try again.
Well, I hope that's given you a direct experience of the sublime message in music of the master through a master violinist, Joanna Stratova, who has been playing these pieces for probably 50 years, maybe even longer. And so she plays the music. It just comes straight through her as a transmission. The Inner Voice of God was the last one. And it's one of my favorite songs, which is why I asked Joanna to play it for us. And I love the butterfly. And it's very, very beautiful and symbolic. So thank you so much, Joanna, for joining us. I'm going to move now towards our breakout rooms, which we're going to have for 15 minutes. And before I do that, I'm going to read you my poem, The Buried Seeds of Initiation. And the idea behind reading this at this point is that the seeds we plant are what will come up in the culture of the future. And so the questions that we're going to be looking at in the breakout rooms of up to 5 people will be, what am I already doing to be synergizing the change? What seeds have I planted, or am I planting? And the second question, which leads on from it, what seeds am I inspired to plant by our time together? So you may know the quotation, I only came across this recently. This is what's at the head of this poem. They thought they'd buried us, but they forgot we were seeds. They thought they'd buried us, but they forgot we were seeds. And I wrote this in Epidavros at the sacred site in Greece, which is one of the great shrines and sacred places of Greece. Long since forgotten, overlaid by centuries of neglect and distraction, those perennial seeds gestated slowly underground, patiently awaiting new conditions for life. Now comes the water bearer to unfold the mysteries anew. Within our souls reborn, those seeds can sprout once more, pushing through the hardened soil, opening into light and sky to blossom once again. Exquisite scents pervade the air, spread with delicate grace. Few are those like bees who catch a whiff, who sense and smell such faint and subtle perfumes. We are those buried seeds, those grains of wheat, nourished in darkness, strengthened in tribulation, sacrificed for truth, who freely gave our lives in fire and courtroom. This time round, we draw together, closely, intimately, in open circles of trust, transforming such bitter fruits of traumas past into a nectar of such sweetness, a viscous golden honey, so all can come and taste this wisdom of life renewed, this radiant love reborn. So all can come and taste this wisdom of life renewed, this radiant love reborn. And I want just to mention at this point that the wisdom in Latin is sapientia, and it comes from sapere, which means to taste, hence the honey. And I don't know about you, but I'm a great fan of honey, and I have some nearly every day. So there you are, and sweetness also, the nectar. So we're going to go into breakout rooms for 15 minutes now, and then we'll have some closing remarks. Ben, is that all in order?
That's great, David. We're going to be in the room for 12 minutes, just so there'll be small
12
groups.
minutes. Good.
Yep. And when you get in there, if everybody can just self-arrange to make sure that you get a chance to share for a few minutes, and that everybody in the room, there'll be 4, 5, or 6 people in each room, and it's just 12 minutes. So make sure everyone can share. And then when we come back, we'll use the Mentimeter Interactive to share your outcoming. So 2 questions. What are you already doing? What seeds have you planted? And what are you inspired to do? These are the 2 questions. David, do you want people to address?
Yes.
Great, let's do it. Becky, our Zoom technician wizard, is going to spin us all into not just randomly generated rooms, but randomly generated rooms inspired by the cosmos. So let's see who you end up with, and we'll see you back here after the 12 minutes is up. Thank you.
You'll get a thing that pops up on your screen. You accept that and you'll fly to that room.
Beautiful, David. Beautiful, Ben. That was really special.
The violin, John, right? That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. That was really amazing, David. Thank you for bringing your gifts here.
So, John, what are you up to? What seeds have you planted, and what are you already doing? Why don't you tell us what you're already doing in the spirit of the breakout? Let's have a breakout here.
Okay, that sounds good. I was about to join something, but I couldn't see myself, so we have a breakout here.
Yeah. The live stream's continuing. So the way this is happening is that the conversation is continuing with those that are watching remotely while those are in the breakout room. Well, I'm taken by the notion of intelligence and what that means, and the idea that there are a spectrum of different ways of thinking about how we are thinking and acting. And I've noticed, of course, the impact of this idea of artificial intelligence, but nature's intelligence across species, music, dance, the experiential intelligence, collective intelligence. It seems like we're at one of those moments when it would be good to come to terms as to what are we talking about? How do we act intelligently in a moment like this? So I'm living into that question. And in fact, getting input from lots of folks in one world. Gardner, there are people who've been thinking about this for a long time, but I don't think we're yet in consensus about what we're talking about there.
Yes, I've got two things I could offer in that context. One is that I think we ought to start talking about natural intelligence. Artificial intelligence is artificial, but it's in fact, everything is metaphorical, because is it really intelligence? It's artificial, all right, but is it intelligence? And then how do you equate intelligence with understanding? And this takes me to the second, I think, really fundamental contribution. And I don't know whether either of you are familiar with this. My friend Ian McGilchrist and his magnum opus is 2 volumes called The Matter with Things. And in it, he explains that there are 2 ways we can pay attention, 2 forms of intelligence. There's the left hemisphere, which is what dominates our culture, the hemisphere of analysis, reductionism, mechanism, manipulation, exploitation. And the left hemisphere operates through reason, logic, but it has no creative power, which is all in the right hemisphere, which is intuition, imagination, the more subtle ways of knowing. And that what should be happening, but isn't in our culture, is that these faculties should be working together. So the creative, intuitive, imaginative should be working with the rational and logical, and because they complement each other. But our whole culture is severely out of balance, and therefore we need to recover that balance. And so artificial intelligence and machine learning and so on is really an extension of left hemisphere, mode of attention.
Yeah, right. But we're getting better at it. And the idea that we need to balance these together is what I think is the kind of consensus about that. And we are evolving our potential to act intelligently. I mean, here's an image of what we're talking about. So we've been in this conversation. And here's just an image of a number of named intelligencies but this is here in the context of an article about just what you're saying, that multifaceted, goes beyond any traditional notion of intelligence as cognitive or logical, right? To include all these different, and actually in our community, David, there's interspecies intelligence, nature's intelligence, the listening field. So it's I think a hot topic for us, especially as we attempt to act together and we want to act intelligently, that we can see a good starting point is saying, okay, how do I know what I know, and how do I remain open to learning and evolving together? So that learning to learn for me is such an essential intelligence right now, because so many new possibilities are emerging in our lifetimes. In fact, extraterrestrial intelligence. I don't know if you know this, the United States has now had a law in place in which the agencies in the U.S. need to release what they know about intelligences that are from other worlds.
Absolutely. And we had Jim Garrison on our platform recently, and he's been involved in he is involved in this. And I know Jim through other avenues.
Yeah, he's going to help facilitate our session on the 18th, which I hope you come to, David. We really have so much to learn from you. Your poem started this when we had our first partners meeting, when Irvin shared your poem. That set the tone for this path we're on. So the 18th for us is a chance to change the limits of what's possible between now and then. And actually, we asked, what does it mean if humanity was awakened? What would that look like? And there's a frame that's evolving to give us some insight.
That's terrific. I'll have to check on what other commitments I've got, but I'll come if I can, for sure.
And Ben, you're doing such a great job. I am so proud of you as a host. You care for everybody in such a creative way. And this is such a gift for everyone who's tuning in, whether it's online or here in the room with us.
It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful field that's created by this collective intention and the evolutionary leaders today, the Holomovement. I mean, these things coming together with Gary's music and with Linda Bjork's great presentation. Just beautiful. The 18th that John's talking about, David, is day 4 of the symposium. So I think we had discussed that. I think you can make the session that's at 4 p.m. your time, but probably not the one that's at midnight your time. But,
okay.
We had put that in your diary, I think. So that's day 4 of the symposium. It's the Harvest Day, Our Awakening, coming up on Saturday the 18th. We're almost halfway through this section of the symposium, this 3-day stretch. And isn't it great? These people, it's wonderful to have these breakout rooms. There's 4 minutes left. We just know there's amazing connections and interactions happening. Everybody gets to share. And I think that's a really important design in what this is becoming. It's not just about visionary voices. And, it's interesting for anybody who was there, who was presenting yesterday or today or tomorrow, they could have been 60 completely different people from the community that were those that were sharing. It could be any of us. that are all got something to share. We all have a sacred mission, and none are more sacred than another. And that's the beautiful thing, I think, about this coming together and finding, okay, what's yours, what's ours? And John, you're such a gift in this sense of really helping to mine for synergy and determine how we can better organize and collaborate and use the tools as tools. Right. I mean, I think that so much of it, whether we're talking about money or whether we're talking about technology, so much of it is just about getting the relationship right. That it's not about whether it's good or bad. It's about whether we're in right relationship to it. So tools are not the master. Tools are not driving the train here. but they can be very useful, and they are very useful. And I think, John, you're committed to making sure we use them well. And so I think that's, beautiful. And David, what you're bringing, the consciousness, I'm intrigued by Peter. Help me say his last name.
Peter Dunoff.
Peter Dunoff, intrigued by Peter Dunoff.
I've put my presentation in the chat at 1725. So if you scroll back, you'll get it. Or I'll send it to you anyway.
Yeah. What do you think he would make of the symposium so far? Well,
I felt a very strong sense of his presence coming through the inner voice of God. And I mean, his whole life was dedicated towards bringing this sense of connectedness, sense of being brothers and sisters, sense of community, and being connected through music to nature and to the higher powers. And he gave something like 3,500 lectures, and so he was contemporary of Steiner. Steiner was 1861 to 1925, and Dunoff was 1864 to 1944. And so that, but the fact that he brought music and movement, not just words, is hugely important, I think. But so far as the theme of the coming together here is concerned, then what we are doing is we're trying to bring in a new kind of culture. It's a spiritual renaissance. It's a form of evolution, and it's at a higher frequency.
Well, we need that range. We need to be able to move between these different spectrum of frequencies and sensibilities. We're seeing that in Zoom. It's remarkable what that growing edge is. The use of transformances, the use of pausing together and learning how to be present. That intrapersonal holiness for interpersonal wholeness.
I like it.
Yeah, Patricia.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, some of the practices are very simple, like gratitude, orienting yourself to the inner Christ or whatever your language is. But they require attention and awareness. And these are in slight short supply. Or we've got a capacity for attention, but attending is very hard work. I think we're about to come back.
We have 1 minute until everyone will be back in the room. So people are starting to drift in over the next minute now.
Are you doing a Mentimeter?
Yes. So we'll bring up the Mentimeter, and they will be able to give their responses, David, as a sentence. So they'll be able to share what they're up to, what seeds they're planting, what they're inspired to do. This will be great. It'll be great to see what people are wanting to share from this. Thank you.
And then we can reflect further on that.
We can reflect further on that. We're going to share the reflective engagement form, and then we're going to also just mention tonight the Awakening World. I've got a slide to show. And anything else you want to say to close it out? It's been beautiful, David.
Okay, great.
Right, that survey is really becoming, in addition to the real-time feedback, I'll put the link in the chat when you want it, Ben, but having people, there's a more comprehensive survey that's informing us. It's really been amazing what we're hearing from people. So we're getting the real-time feedback and the reflective feedback.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Everyone is back now.
A lot of feedback, which is good. So everyone is back now. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to put up a Mentimeter, David, for people to share, and you'll have an opportunity to share. So let's do that, and then maybe we can hear from 2 or 3 people from the breakouts as to anything that was really profound for them. Shall we go ahead and do that, David, and bring up the Mentimeter tool?
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Okay, so I'm going to share this now. We've got a hand up. That's good. We could probably do with the first 2 or 3 hands up we can share, but let's do this so everybody can same link as before. So we'll just refresh that link in the chat. And this will give everybody an opportunity. Just open your camera, hold it over the QR code, or you can find that link in the chat. And we'll just get these responses. This is something you can put in a sentence. You can put in a couple of sentences, and we're going to review these together. Looking forward to hearing what the Zoom breakout gods have done and who they've paired you with and what came from that. So let's get some answers in. What are you inspired to do? Help others. Here they begin. Let's just make sure the link is also shared in the chat. Sorry if I'm not seeing that, but as we share the screen here, there it is. The Mentimeter link, Irina has shared it in the chat as well if you want to access it that way. We'd love to see what you're going to share with us here as these answers start coming in. David, do you want to read some out? What's jumping out off the page for you?
Yes, writing and sharing, bringing the unity of whole worldview out to the masses, changing the paradigm through spiritual diversity and education. Education is coming through as a theme here. And bring the voice of nature, elders to the table, being rather than doing. Well, we have to bring our being into our doing, I think. They're not separate. Empowering young women globally. I never told anybody. Very good. Thinking globally and sharing, nurturing the divine spark in my grandchildren.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, keep the imagination and creativity alive in your children and your grandchildren. Being more peaceful and centered. Circle conversations. Films about the evolutionary upward spiral of humanity. Recently, there's a Village of Lovers. Have a look at that one. It's about the Tamara community. That's part of the upward spiral. Health, happiness, peace, and abundance. Being the change. Indeed, we all have to be that in our circle of influence. And I think that's what the important thing is consider what your circle of influence is.
Beautiful. I love this. There's some wonderful, wonderful sharings there. Building the world's first monastery of unity and monastic and indigenous wisdom. Yes, please. Let's get
yeah, Thomas Merton could get behind that one.
Absolutely. Inspiring health, happiness, peace, and abundance for everyone, everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, if we've got nearly 50 responses in here, if we can ask the system to sort of group them in, let's see what happens if we put them into categories.
Oh, yeah. Sorting the circles from squares. Circling the square.
Now, let's see what helping others, isn't that 15? This is what we're doing, what we're up to, what we're inspired to do, David.
Nature connection, creative sharing, spiritual expression. That's so interesting. So the top top three, yes, helping others and connecting to nature.
Beautiful.
Well, that gives us a good idea of priorities on this call.
Look at these wonderful things going. Go ahead.
Sowing the seeds, and our scientific and medical network is represented there by one of our new paradigm navigators.
Amazing.
So look us up.
Living in the question of our role in the imminent transformation. Well, aren't we all doing that? That's amazing. Thank you.
Well, I think it's imminent and immanent as well.
Yes. Well said.
We need to connect with the inside of ourselves.
A lot of connecting with nature. Let's do one more. We'll do one more grouping. We see there. Spiritual expression, nature connection, helping others, creative sharing. How beautiful. How beautiful. To see the
uncategorized, right? So we've got a bit more coming in.
There's more coming in if we have a look at the uncategorized. More 24 hours of dancing with all souls into peace on earth. I think I know who that is.
That's paneurhythmy as well. That's universal harmony of movement is what it means. And you can look this up on YouTube. Put panurhythmy into YouTube and you'll find some sublime moments illustrated. And I've also put into the chat the YouTube link for my 6 exercises demonstration, so you can have a look at that.
Amazing.
In your back garden.
Incredible answers coming in here. Just beautiful. Universal Fight Club. I'd like to know what that is. That's interesting. All right. Well, let's stop that there. Thank you, everybody, for doing that. Let's just have a look. We had so many responses coming through. You can see, and we'll get these into shareable forms, and we'll share them out through the emails and into One World and all the other networks. So, thank you for doing that, everybody. David, that was amazing. The seeds that are sown and the seeds that are being sown. Very, very rich harvest. And we have some people with their hands up, David. Would you like to call on them to share from the breakouts? The first one is Dewey. Dewey Marley.
Yes. Sorry, I seem to have slightly frozen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get Dewey.
I think I'm back.
Go ahead, Dewey.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Dewi Maile Lim, and I am the founder of, I guess, a company, a movement that's slowly bubbling out and rippling out throughout creation called New Earth Luminary. And I connect and support mainly women, but I definitely have done events with men too in the past, who are on the front lines of the global awakening to really step fully into their mission. And so I do events like this, a little bit smaller scale, and I love to interview guests and other thought leaders who have been either, just waking up now and are already like fully immersed in this global unification movement that we're a part of, or have been doing it for decades. And I really feel inspired to share that, there's a sister that I met in one of my recent events, Elizabeth Germain, who just said hi in the chat. To know, like, we are these points of light all over the planet. And some of the women in my pod just now knew each other too. So, we're finding the others. And I've known since I was a little girl that this unification was going to be happening. And I believe it will happen. My vision is that it will happen in our lifetimes. So I'm really a stand for that. And everything I do is in alignment with, continuing this focus. And I believe that what got us into the mess we're in is not going to be the same thing that gets us out. So I'm a proponent for imagination and creativity and really, just being fully expressed in our beauty of who we are as much as we can, and sharing that with others. So if anyone wants to connect, let's do it. I'm beaming you so much love and light from my heart in Hawaii. And I can't wait to learn more from you all. And I will be reaching out to some of the experts to see if you want to be interviewed and collaborate. Thank you.
Beautiful, Dewey. Thank you, Dewey. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. And let's, David, thank you for that, Dewey, and put your contact details in the chat. Thandika. Way. Good to have you with us. How was your breakout? What would you like to share?
I have only one name, Tandaica, which is why it's listed twice. And the name was given to me by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, so I made it my one and only legal name. It means beloved, lovable, part of one who is loved by God. There was one other person in the breakout room, which was really great because we're both baby boomers and had a chance to share. With answer to the question, what seeds have I planted? I had to first explain why I planted a certain kind of seed, and it had to do with music. Jaak Panksepp, the founder of the brain science of emotions, with whom I was in conversation for a decade, had a theory about the way in which music is linked to emotions. And so he separated baby chicks from their mothers, put them in a cage, and the baby chicks, through shaking their heads and flapping their little wings, indicated separation distress. He then piped a certain kind of music, rhythmic sound, music, into the cage, because his theory was if the vibrations of the music were in the right, were structured similarly to the way in which molecules that reduce separation distress are ordered, he could reduce the separation distress, and he did.
Beautiful.
The baby chicks, we could say, perhaps had a religious or sacred experience, but I'm not going to impose that upon them. Rather, the work that I do with my co-director, Jennifer Jennings, is universalconnections.world small groups. Because we know that when emotions shift, the person should be in a small group that sustains or heals or transforms the emotions. Without those small groups, and again, you can get to us simply by Googling universalconnections.world. If you create those groups and multiply them, which is what we're doing, is networking them. And we want to do this within organizations as well as just with individuals that we train. Then we have the millions upon millions of small groups working collaboratively within existing organizations, as well as creating this transformation required of the body politic so that we can finally heal and transform the world.
Thanks so much. And that's, I think the power of small groups has been explored also by Lynn McTaggart with The Power of Eight. And there's incredible synergy and healing possible within groups like that. So that sounds amazing work.
Yes, and I will add one thing here. The insights that I use to create these small groups comes from insights from the work of the brain science of emotions. And Jaak Panksepp refers to my work in his books, and also from the 19th century father of liberal theology, Friedrich Schleiermacher, who also made religious emotional transformation the natal of the hour of everything living in religion without itself being a religious claim.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Thandika. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And as you say, David, so much work going into small groups, pro-social, and these other things that are doing beautiful work. But then, Vicky, we enjoyed greatly Gary Malkin's sharing a little bit earlier, connecting music to emotion as well. It's obviously very dear to your work. So thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you for the invitation and the work you're doing.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Next, Scott Katamas from the Global Peace Tribe. We're going to be, there's a bunch of us, including Tammy, Scarlett, myself, and a whole bunch of other people that are going to be on the Awakening World tonight. It's Saturday nights.
Yeah,
Scott.
Thank you. I'm really excited about that. And so, yes, do join us tonight, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, for an amazing Awakening World with Ben, Tammy, Gary Malkin, and so many others. But what I wanted to share in answer to the question, first of all, thank you, David, Ben. It's been a beautiful symposium so far. What was interesting was in our group, multiple people brought up how discouraged they have been in life, in the world, and how inspiring this symposium has been. And it led to how important it is for us to reach out to those people that are feeling skeptical or worried about the world. We're those of us that are, kind of collaborate frequently, we're blessed because we have each other. But it's so important for us to really be on the lookout for people that don't have the same positive vision for what's possible and are getting lost in the mainstream news frenzy of chaos and disasters. So a big thank you to everyone who's here for creating inspiration and everything you're doing. And let's keep a lookout for those people that need to know about our communities and are needing the inspiration that events like this provide.
Thanks very much indeed. I think the important point is ask yourself, what can I do in my circle of influence? And that, I think, is not only global, but also local. In France, we have these little Solaris groups, SOLARIS. And these are small groups of local people who meet regularly and support each other. And that seems to be absolutely fundamental. Mutual aid with Prince Kropotkin. It's the alternative to the nature red in tooth and claw competition. It's synergy, symbiosis, as we've been talking about in this session. So what can we do locally, even with our neighbors who we may not speak to very much, but we can at least have beautiful relationships with the people who live right next door to us. And how often do we say hello?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, David. And thank you, Scott, for presencing that came out of the breakouts. And, all of us can be affected so much by the state of the world and right now. And it's so true, Scott, that we're so blessed to have each other in this community, and we need to be reaching out to everyone. It's a tough time. And there's no doubt about it all over the planet. So thank you for presencing that. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I did think Carmen, you might have been next, and then your hand went up and then it went down, and then we'll come to you, Lisa, for the final share of this session. So Carmen Ortiz.
Carmen Ortiz, how are you?
Ortiz.
How are you? Thank you so much, Ben, and the whole team for creating this amazing symposium. So in the breakout group, I was with David Lorimer, and he says he only has one sentence regarding the planting of seeds, and that is that he is the author of the business chapter on the Upshift book. And I'm like, wow, this is synchronicity. Because I'm the co-founder or co-creator, actually, of the emergent business model called spiritual entrepreneurship. And I'm planting the seeds with a new company that is implementing or testing this new emergent ethical spiritual entrepreneurship model. So I told him about my seeds, and he told us about his seeds, and we're getting together to figure out how we can come together and collaborate. And that's, I think, what you had in mind, Ben, when you created the symposium. And I'm living it in action, and I wanted to share it.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Lovely example, sort of synchronistic synergy.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Carmen Ortiz. And David Lorimer, new seeds being planted right here, right now. The big breath. The little breath, that flow of creation just continues to go and flow and animate us all. Thank you. We have one more share from Lisa Longworth. And I think Lisa's one of our 5, is that right? One of our 5 recipients of the book. Yes. You got, quick you got the Holomovement book coming to you, Lisa. Welcome. Well done. Oh, we'll get you microphone sorted. Yeah. There you go.
Well, that's funny because I was having technological problems, which didn't allow my name to initially pop up as the 5th winner. But when I got in the group, what was fascinating, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Lisa Longworth. I'm the founder of International Creativity Foundation, and we're dedicated to uniting our divided world through creative expression. Here are some of my paintings in the background. And thank you, Ben. Thank you, Scott. What was fascinating, because each moment is a learning experience, obviously, for all of us. And my learning experience for the 12, 15 minutes of our group was my technology was not working. I was not able to use the video or the sound. And so I kept staying with it. And finally, for the last 30 seconds, finally, I had a moment to share. And what the lesson for me is trusting life continually and technology. And in that regard, I just want to say thank you to this moment in time when we can use the amazing gift of AI and our own personal creativity. This is I'm hoping this will show, this is our world lit up, and it keeps getting brighter. Each one of these lights get brighter and brighter. And I'm just ever so grateful. And I'm just bursting with joy in my heart to say yes to all of our dreams, and the idea that when we come together and we hold each other and we hold each other's dreams, that together like twin wings, we can fly. We can fly higher. So thank you for your love. And I'm grateful. I'm very grateful and very joyful and excited to be a part of this family. So.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, Lisa. That's magnificent. Love your background. And I love your story of persistence in the face of technological challenges. David, we can all relate to that, can't we?
We can indeed. Yeah. No, I was in the middle of a webinar when my sort of internet allowance ran out. So that was a sort of blank out. But I'm sure we've all had these kind of stories. But persistence and resilience is what it's about. So thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for your work, your color, your inspiration. I mean, there are so many amazing people on this call. It's extraordinary. And that's such an encouragement, I think, for all of us as we go, when they're coming to the end of this session, to feel part of the upshift movement, the great upshift, not the great reset. We want the great upshift, or the great regeneration. I think regeneration is so important. And before I've got one more poem to read before.
David, what we'll do is we'll just get a couple of messages out. So, John, sure. Just there is a really important feedback, reflective feedback form. We're getting amazing. You saw this real-time feedback that we're getting, and then there's the reflective feedback form. John, tell us a little bit about it, so that people can really get excited about what we're harvesting and getting ready for Sunday, the 18th of February.
Right. Well, we're learning how to collect our feedback in real time, but also this comprehensive survey I'll drop in the chat gives us more to inform our guidance as we're headed towards the 18th. So the more comprehensive feedback includes takeaways, impact that it's having. I mean, we're going deeper there. So we're learning how to collect it, and we're learning how to make meaning from it, and we're learning then how to act upon it. And so together, and everyone's has access to everyone's answers. So it's anonymous. If you put in your email, you can come back and edit it afterwards. But it's really an experiment in awakening together. And what is swarm creativity? What is collective intelligence? So play along. You can't lose. The more people play, the more people win. So
beautiful, brother. We're excited. We're having fun. We're in the canoe and we are rowing to the beat of the drum. All right. So I'm just going to do some thank yous, David, and then we're going to close with your poem. This has been a magnificent session. I want to thank everybody who's participated and spoken, of course, Hubcast, and again, Becky and Irina and John, everybody doing a great job inside the seams. And of course, our speakers, Julie Krull, the beautiful synthesis, a co-host of the session, Reverend Deborah Modow. They're magnificent evolutionary leaders roundtable, Kurt Johnson, Diane Williams, everybody involved there, Bob Atkinson and so many, Linda Bjork, and then the Holomovement panel, Tammy, Scarlett, Paulette Pipe, and Rachel Morrison, and of course, Gary Malkin and Patricia Wagner, who did that beautiful meditation of the two doors, as well as you, David. Thank you to you. And Joanna Strativa for that transformational piece of music. So thank you, everybody, for being with us. Come back in a few hours at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Our next session is all about peace. John Raymer is a co-host and is going to be facilitating the engagement hour. And it's going to be magnificent speakers coming for that. And then following that straight into the Awakening World, which is dedicated to the symposium tonight. Scott's got the links in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Thank you for your participation in this. It's all of us together, and we really appreciate every one of you being here with us. So let's go forward from here. We're halfway through this session of 3 days, and then we have the harvest on Sunday the 18th. So, David, thank you so much for your amazing wisdom, light, and leadership and facilitation of today's session. And let's close with another beautiful, original, inspired poem from David Lorimer.
Thank you very much. And I love John's background there. One of my poems is actually called we're all in the same canoe. And that seems to me, another metaphor. I'll send it to Ben.
You might have to do that on Sunday the 18th, I think.
Just before I read my poem, I want to give you the main Peter Dunoff formula, and I'm going to say it 3 times because that's how it normally is said. May we have a heart as pure as a crystal, a mind as bright as the sun, a soul as vast as the universe, and a spirit as powerful as God and one with God. May we have a heart as pure as a crystal, a mind as bright as the sun, a soul as vast as the universe, and a spirit as powerful as God and one with God. May we have a heart as pure as a crystal, a mind as bright as the sun, a soul as vast as the universe, and a spirit as powerful as God and one with God. The formula of Peter Dunoff. Now, here's my poem, final sign-off poem. And I wrote this overlooking the sea on the 16th of October at a place called Collioure. 16th of October was a few days after the 7th of October, and I've written quite a number of poems about that situation. This one is called We're Here to Love. We are here to love and not to hate, to seek the paths of peace, not war, to forgive and not to avenge, to learn deep life lessons from each other. We are here to learn the laws of love, the laws of wisdom, the laws of truth, the laws of justice, the laws of goodness, the laws of beauty, the laws of freedom. We are here to learn the practice of kindness, the practice of compassion, the practice of empathy, the practice of trust, the practice of reconciliation. We are all here for each other, entwined with the whole of life, with animals, with birds, with insects, plants, and fungi, here for a short time together, here to awaken, here to be, here to act together.
Please convey